everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back to my channel. Well, today we're going to make a Christmas card and we're going to make a type of stepper card. So this time you will need a piece of A3 card just to make it easier. If you haven't got A3, I'll tell you how to get around it by using your normal cardstock, even the A4. So if you're going to use an A3 piece, you will need to score it down the middle lengthways, which will give you a piece which is 6 inches wide, which will be the top part here. And you need it by 6 by 16, which is why you need an A3 if you're going to do it in one piece. And to do it this way, you need to score it at 6, at 12 inches and at 14 inches, which will actually leave you with a little tiny bit at the end, which all you need to do is chop off. So we do that. If you haven't got 6 by 6, you can still use your 12 by 12 or even an A4, I guess. And you need to make it, the first bit you will need to just make a 6 by 6 and score it, or a 6 by 12, I beg your pardon, and score it at 6. And then you will need to make an extra piece, which will be 5 by 6 and score it at ½ an inch, fold it back and glue it on. So if you're going to do it this way, we'll do it all in one piece. And then I've made a little bit of a start just to make the video go a bit quicker. And this is going to be the front, and this will stand up that way, a top folding. Stepper cards are always a top folding. Now we may need a piece to go in the middle to stop it from spreading. I haven't decided yet, but if we do need that, you will need, I'm calling it a stand, which will be 6 by 4, and you'll just score it at every ½ an inch. So you'll score it at half, 1, 1.5, 2, and so on. So that's easy. And again, all of these measurements will go in the description box below, including both ways of making this. So don't worry about it. If I'm going too fast or it's difficult to remember, because there are quite a few measurements, don't worry, it'll all be in the description box below. And I have used 2 mats to begin with. Now I'm using glitter paper. This is non-shed, so if you rub your fingers over it, it doesn't make a mess and come off. And one is 6 by 6, and this one down here is 6 by 2. So that's just to cover up the front and this bit here. Now I'm using Die Cutting Essentials 135. If you are a subscriber to Die Cutting Essentials, if you haven't got it already, you'll be getting it in a couple of days, or you should be. But if you're not a subscriber, it will be out next Thursday. And what you get, if you haven't had it yet, if you haven't had your copy yet, what you get, I have cut it down a bit. Let me just pop this to one side. I'll show you what you get. You get this delightful little set of dies. Now we've got a church, or it could be a schoolhouse if you don't want to call it a church. That's absolutely fine. And we've got a house and a tower block. We've also got a little fence and a street lamp, but we're not using those 2 today. We're just using these 3. And I've cut the church or the schoolhouse out once, and I've cut these 2 twice. You also get, this time, an embossing folder, which I don't think you can see terribly well. But it's what we've got. If you can't see, I don't think you can see it terribly well, even if I put it on an orange background. We've got icicles at the top, and you've got a snowdrift at the bottom. It'll be easier to see, actually, once we start. It says it's a 3D folder, but to be honest, it doesn't seem to have the depth of a 3D folder. So, but whether it is or not, it's still very, very pretty. So what I've done with mine is I've cut it. Instead of, this is a 6, no it's not, it's a 5 by 7. But I've actually cut mine down to fit a 6 by 6. And I've cut it twice. And, well, I've cut this bit once, and I've cut this bit twice. The snowdrift I've cut twice, and the icicles I've cut once. But I have cut it out. I embossed it and then cut it out. And I've done that in ordinary white card so that it's easier to see. So you'll see the detail once we start putting this together. So this will be, if you're not a subscriber, you can buy this in the shops from next Thursday. So let's start building. And the other thing, because depending on how you decide to back your card, I'm using glitter paper, and sometimes it's very difficult to get glue to stick to glitter paper. So I'm using double-sided tape for most of it, and on one or two bits and pieces I've got some foam tape, or foam pads I should say. But if you're using ordinary cardstock, you can use glue and it will be fine. And the other thing I've done, I'll just show you, I've done the same on all of them. I have cut my pieces out, but I've also drawn around the outside, and I've done yellow. I've backed it onto some yellow card so that it looks like we've got the lights on, because this is going to be a sort of night scene. But I've done that so that you can look at it and think the lights are on. And obviously the door isn't like it wouldn't have, unless the door's wide open, you wouldn't see the light. So I've just coloured that in, and I'm going to show you how to do that on one of the others, if I can find it. It's down here somewhere, but we'll get to that when we come to it. So the first thing we're going to do, see if I can get that to stop sticking to my fingers. But the trouble of putting tape on everything, it sticks to everything, including my jumper, my fingers. So if something goes on the floor, we're not going to be able to put this thing together, but we'll see how it goes. So let's get this party started, shall we? So this is the Snowdrift. As you can see, there's barely any, to be honest, there's barely any embossing on it at all. But I do like the shape that it provides. So on the back, I've got some double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick that down there, like that. So I'm just going to press that into that bit there. Now, there was one part I'd done, and there was one part I'd half done, and I was going to show you. Oh yes, it was that one. Now I knew there was one somewhere. On this one, what we've done now, if we decide where we're going to put it before we do anything, because again, it's got tape on the back, so it's going to be very sticky. So I had actually done a sort of layout of how I wanted this. So, because I was going, actually, do you know what? Let's put that one about there. I'm going to stick it down straight away. I know it's blue on blue, but it's a darker blue. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you very quickly how I coloured in the bits that aren't windows. So let me just move that away so I don't get it stuck to my jumper. So all I did, this is just an alcohol marker. You can use anything you like. And all I did was, apart from the bits that are windows, I've kept that with the yellow card. I just backed it onto a yellow card. And I just did a little wiggle like that, just followed the lines. And for the door, I just followed the shape and filled it in. So even if it goes over the edge slightly, it doesn't matter. So that's how we get around that. So if you've got a piece and you think, hang on a minute, that's not supposed to be window, just fill it in. Absolutely no problem at all. And what we're going to do, I've got, now if you can hear that noise, I can hear it from here. It's Tuesday. I'm filming on the same day that it uploads, and it's the day we can have our bins emptied. So if you can hear that cluttering and clanking outside, that's what it is. It's the bins being emptied. So I forgot they were coming today actually, or I'd have done the video yesterday. But what I'm going to do with this, to get back to our video, again, this has got double-sided tape on the back. I could have actually used glue because it's going on here, but I wanted to, I know it's going to cover the door, but it doesn't really matter. I wanted to put that on there, and I want to use my church or my schoolhouse, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to put that slightly higher up. And again, it's got double-sided, they've all got double-sided tape on the back, and if it's got anything different, I will of course let you know. And so that's going to go on there, and that's the back of that's the main panel completed. So now I'm going to move down. I'm going to slide that down so you can see. I've got another Snowdrift, which again, I've cut out and put double-sided tape on the back of. And this time, I'm going to sit that down there. And at the end of this, once we've finished it, we'll decide whether or not we think it needs a stand to stop it slipping. We'll stand it up and see if it needs a stand. So we'll work that out as we go along. Now I have got two buildings. I've got another house and I've got another tall building. So where shall we put it? Shall we put it Now let me put it face down, otherwise it's going to stick to the table. So as the house is that side, we'll try and balance it up a bit. And we'll put the house, I think, yeah. We'll put, just as long as the tape doesn't stick to this bit, otherwise it won't stand up. So we'll put the house there. And that one, it is going to sort of be on the same side, but I'll put it over. Actually, do you know what? I'll put it in a bit. Make sure that, now if you're going to do this, make sure the tape doesn't go over that bit because it'll stick and it won't stand up. So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit, and I'm going to bring it in a bit because I've got some Christmas trees, which didn't come as part of the set. But now that's not at all how I planned it. When I was planning it out, that's not at all how I planned it out, because I've got a sentiment, but that's all right. That's no problem. We'll carry on anyway. Now the other thing I wanted to show you, which I almost forgot about, that was almost this week's deliberate mistake. It was from the embossing folder, and it's the icicles. So there we go, there are the icicles. As you can see, it's not very deeply embossed. I personally wouldn't call that 3D, although it says it on the front. To be honest, I wouldn't call that 3D. I've got other 3D embossing folders and they're quite a bit deeper than that, but I would call it a standard embossing folder. But despite that, it's still, whatever you want to call it, it's still very, very pretty. So we're going to put that at the top like that. And again, I've got that with double-sided tape on the back. And I'm going to stick that down, but I'm going to leave those up. I'm not going to stick those down because then it'll just give the impression that they're perhaps melting and they're going to fall down. But that makes, well, I think, anyway, that makes all the difference. I'm not going to put any more on there. I was thinking of putting some the other way and making it stand up, but I've decided not to do that because I think it would be too much. So I have got, I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to use all the Christmas trees that I've made. Now, when I say Christmas trees, we're not talking anything particularly difficult here. All this is, oops, I've got, this one's got a double. This is foam pads and it's got a double on the back. And I'm just going to fold that in. Now, when I say Christmas tree, all I mean is a piece of green card. This is some scrap card that I found in my scraps drawer. And all I did was I literally cut a triangle, a long triangle. So that's all you need to do. You don't need anything fancy. And what I was going to do was put the two together, like that. That's what happens when you're half talking to yourself. And then put it down there. But now, if I'm lucky, so I haven't stuck that down too harshly, so I can still move that. So I'm going to stick that down there. I'm just moving the house across a bit. Oh, let me show you what I'm doing. So I'm just moving the house across a bit, and we're going to put those trees there. So they've got a bit of a frame, and I had got one to go there, and I think, you know what, I think we'll probably just about get away with that. So we've got a couple of trees, and I have got a sentiment, which, because it's so different to how I'd originally planned it, we're going to have to put the sentiment somewhere else. When I did my original plan, I had a nice little space here, and I was going to put my sentiment there, but of course that's not going to happen now because it will cover everything up. So we are going to have to rethink that. So I could put it there, or I could, do you know what, let's put it, just hide it underneath that icicle. Yeah, let's put it there. It says Festive Wishes. It was just one that I cut it out from an old, I think it was a box set of something or other. And I save all the ones I don't use, all the sentiments and ephemera that I don't use from sets. I save because you never know when you can use them. So that is our card put together, guys. So now let's see how it looks when it stands up, because this is quite a thin card. So yeah, I think it's probably going to need a stand. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a press to see if I can make it stand up a bit better. So it's not too bad, but well, when it stands, I know you can't see it, but if I rock it backwards, that's how it looks when it's standing up. but I think over time that will probably spread out a bit too far. So I'm going to bring in the stand that I've made, and we're going to have it so that the creases are facing inside of the card, and there's still plenty of room on the back to write your message. So I'm going to grab some glue. I've got some glue over here. So let's just quickly, now make sure, the other thing we've got to do is make sure we put the glue, or glue it in the right place, otherwise it won't stand up at all. So I'm just going to spread some glue. This is some fairly quick grab glue. This is one of these, it's a brilliant glue actually. It's a quick grab glue, but it's also a craft glue, so it will dry solid. So you get two for the price of one, so to speak. It's two glues in one almost. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. So that will go. I've decided to have mine facing like that. So we're going to put that like that with the folds facing inside of the card. And then pop that on there like that. Make sure it stays on there and doesn't ooze out, otherwise it'll just stick and it won't stand up. So we're just going to hold it down for a couple of seconds. That's all it'll need, and that's fine. Now that won't go any further. So now what we do is we bring it down, fold this up, just fold it up like that. That will not stand any further out than that, and it stands. Now you can just, I think you can probably just about see that like that. So it stands like that. I think that's really pretty, and it will make a beautiful Christmas card for anybody. And there is a little bit of bulk, especially if you're using the stand. So you may need to make a box for this, but if you don't use the stand, it should go into an envelope, a 6x6 envelope. So there is a very pretty, if you don't want to use it for a Christmas card, because some people don't celebrate Christmas, and that's absolutely fine. But you could change out the sentiment. You could put winter wishes, or you could make it a winter birthday card. So you can make it for any occasion you like, but I'm going to make it for a Christmas card because in our family we do celebrate Christmas. So that's fine. I might just add a little bit of glue there, but we'll do that later on. And so actually let's do that. There's a bit that I think the tape has missed it. So and because it's going onto card, not glitter, it should be okay. So I'm just going to put a blob of glue there. We can pop that down like that, just hold it for a few seconds. It should stick pretty quickly. If it splodges out, just do that. There you go, sorted. So there you go, that is our winter card, Christmas card, winter wishes card, whatever you want. Snow scene card, let's call it a snow scene card because that covers just about anything. So there is our snow scene card. That's probably what we'll call it when we put it up. Or Snow Village, maybe. Let's call it oh, that's decided it's not coming up. But we'll deal with that later. Maybe I need to hold it a bit longer. So we'll call it, shall we call it a Snowy Village card? Because that covers all possibilities. And I've put festive wishes, which isn't necessarily Christmas. It could be winter. So there we go. There is our Snowy Village card. And it's a stepper card like that. And it stands up, as you've seen, really nicely. And on the back, you've got room to write your message or stamp a message. And so I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you have a go yourself. And I will see you on Friday with another project. It'll probably be, I know Friday is, I think it's Halloween on Friday. Well, it is in the UK anyway. So I won't do a Halloween project. I don't do Halloween. But I'll be back with probably another Christmas project. So I'll see you then. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the week. Take care, have fun, and as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye for now.